Welcome English Channel.
Some meetings are meant to end in separation, and some separations are meant to help us find ourselves again. The story of Elena and Adrian is a journey from burning passion, through pain, to a love that is finally freed. When love is no longer a chain, it becomes the wings that let the soul soar. The white gallery seemed designed to preserve silence. Footsteps and faint whispers floated in the air. Adrian stood at the entrance, removing his dark coat. He had promised his friend Peter to come tonight. "You came early," Peter greeted warmly. "This exhibition has something special," Peter added. Adrian wandered past abstract paintings. None of them touched him. Then he reached the corner with Elena's works. The central piece, The Garden Without Doors, stopped his breath. "What do you see?" a soft female voice asked. Adrian turned and saw her calm eyes, hair tied loosely. "Empty spaces," he replied without thinking. "That's where the wind passes," she said gently. She introduced herself, Elena. "Adrian," he answered simply. Peter appeared, smiling warmly. "Adrian, this is Elena, our new artist." Elena only nodded politely, distant yet kind. Adrian's gaze returned to the canvas. They walked slowly to see other works. "Do you play music?" Elena asked suddenly. "Piano," Adrian admitted, "but I quit long ago." "Quit because of time or because of fear?" "Fear of forgetting why I loved it," he whispered. She stayed silent, eyes fixed on the canvas. Applause broke out. The curator began his speech. Adrian searched the crowd for Elena. She was talking quietly with a technician. Collectors surrounded her with eager questions. "I like empty kitchen walls," she told one man. "But buyers want a display," the man laughed. Elena smiled, but her eyes did not. Adrian felt something move quietly in his chest. When the crowd thinned, Adrian returned to the Garden Without Doors. A small white note was pinned beside the frame. "To love is to lose. But what if the loss was never real?" His chest tightened at the words. "Has anyone bought this piece?" he asked Peter. "Not yet. Do you want it?" Peter smiled knowingly. "Yes, I'll hang it where no one shows off." "Then talk to the artist," Peter winked. Adrian walked to Elena, who was cleaning her brushes. "I read your statement," he said quietly. "I may not be brave enough to enter the garden, but I want to stand at the fence." Elena's lips curved into a rare laugh. "Sometimes the wind will find you," she whispered. "Would you walk by the lake tonight?" he asked. "The old violinist plays only if the wind is gentle." "Then let's trust your wind-stopping lines." At 11, she finished cleaning and nodded at him. They stepped out into the night street. Their steps echoed gently on the stone pavement. Adrian spoke about his piano, covered with cloth. Elena spoke of her old house on a hill. Their stories walked side by side, never colliding. At the lake, the violinist was playing Chopin. The notes were imperfect, yet tender and alive. Elena stood still, hands hidden in her coat. Adrian looked sideways, seeing her lashes catch the light. When the music ended, she dropped a coin into the hat. "If someone stands by the lake long enough," she said, "the lake will remember them." "And the one who stands?" Adrian asked softly. "Maybe they will remember too," Elena replied. They parted ways at the park gate. No promises were spoken. Adrian watched until her figure melted into the city lights. He walked home with her words echoing inside. "To love is to lose," repeated in his mind. At home, he paused before the covered piano. Slowly, he removed the cloth. The piano keys looked worn, waiting. He pressed the first note, fragile, trembling. The sound was weak, yet alive. He began to play a simple melody. In the kitchen, the window was left open. The night wind carried the music outside. Somewhere else, Elena opened her own window. The same wind brushed against them both. No promises, no certainty. Only a fragile thought, like foam on water. Perhaps this time, he would learn to stand still. Adrian woke with the melody still echoing from the night before. He looked at his hands, still trembling faintly. He wondered if Elena had heard the music. Across town, Elena washed her brushes in silence. Her window was still open, the morning air gentle. That day, Adrian called her for the first time. "I don't know why, but I needed to hear your voice." Elena hesitated before answering. "I was just painting," she said simply. From then on, the calls became nightly. He asked about her childhood, her favorite seasons. She spoke of summers on the hill, painting skies. Adrian told her about his first piano teacher. She said music lives between the notes. Elena fell silent, remembering her own mentor. "Do you still play?" she asked one evening. "Last night was the first time in years." "Then maybe the wind carried it to me," she whispered. His heart beat faster at her words. Their nights grew longer, their mornings lighter. Adrian began to bring her small gifts. Poems scribbled on napkins. Music sheets with his messy notes. A record of Chopin he found in an old shop. Elena accepted with a smile, but her eyes distant. She still painted alone sometimes, locking the door. Adrian knocked, waiting hours. She opened, surprised to see him. "I thought something had happened," he confessed. She touched his hand, guilt flickering in her chest. "Adrian, you love too much," she whispered. He laughed nervously, refusing to understand. The days still glowed, but cracks appeared. At parties, Adrian never let go of her hand. Friends whispered, "He can't breathe without her." Eleanor forced a smile, her chest heavy. They walked by the river one sunset. "Will you stay with me forever?" he asked. Silence stretched, broken only by water. "I don't know," she whispered. Adrian began to call her every night before sleep. "Just to hear your voice," he said. Eleanor smiled, but sometimes paused too long. She painted less alone now, but missed her solitude. Adrian filled her days with surprises: flowers, poems, music. At first, she laughed. Then she grew tired. "You don't have to do so much," she whispered. But Adrian's eyes glowed with fear of losing her. He began writing longer letters, pouring every thought. Eleanor folded them gently, leaving them unread. One evening, he waited outside her studio for hours. She opened the door, startled. "I thought something happened to you," he said. Eleanor touched his hand, guilt flickering in her chest. She whispered, "Adrian, you love too much." He laughed nervously, refusing to understand. The days were still radiant, but cracks appeared. At parties, Adrian never let go of her hand. Friends whispered, "He can't breathe without her." Eleanor forced a smile, her chest heavy. They walked by the river one sunset. "Will you stay with me forever?" he asked. Silence stretched, broken only by rippling water. Elena wanted to say yes, but couldn't. "I don't know," she whispered. Adrian's smile froze like broken glass. The river kept flowing, indifferent. That night, Elena painted a canvas of stormy waves. Adrian played piano until his fingers ached. Both were radiant, both were breaking. Their love grew fast, like wild roses after rain. Every day felt like a festival of colors. Adrian painted Elena again and again. She became the center of his art, his breath. Eleanor laughed, feeling cherished. He followed her steps everywhere. At first it was sweet. Flowers arrived at her door each morning. Poems filled her phone at midnight. "You are my entire sky," he wrote. But soon, the roses filled every corner of her room. Their fragrance grew heavy, almost suffocating. Adrian wanted to know where she was, every hour. He called her 5 times during a single lecture. At first, Elena laughed nervously. "He just cares too much," she told herself. But the care soon became chains. He disliked when she met friends without him. He erased names from her phone. "They don't deserve you," he whispered. Elena began to feel caged. Love turned into a prison of petals. Her laughter faded. Adrian painted darker shades now. "You are mine," he repeated in every stroke. She asked for space, gently. His silence grew sharp. Then came storms of words. Roses turned into thorns. The cage was complete. Eleanor tried to smile, but her lips trembled. Adrian noticed every change in her eyes. "Don't hide from me," he said firmly. His touch grew rougher, desperate. Eleanor pulled back, heart racing. "I need to breathe," she whispered. Adrian answered with silence. Silence heavier than screams. That night he locked the door. Eleanor pressed her palms against the cold handle. Her breath fogged the glass. Outside, the city lights sparkled in freedom. Inside, time froze. He brought another bouquet of roses. She didn't take it. Petals scattered like broken promises. Adrian's voice cracked. "Why are you leaving me?" Eleanor's tears answered first. Love had become fear. The song of roses turned into silence. Elena sat by the window, silent. Adrian paced the room, restless. "Talk to me," he demanded. She only lowered her eyes. Silence sliced them apart. Adrian slammed his fist on the table. The vase shattered into fragments. Blood from his hand stained the petals. Eleanor gasped, reaching out. He grabbed her wrist too tightly. "Don't ever leave me," he whispered like a threat. Eleanor's tears fell onto his wounded hand. She whispered, "This is not love." Adrian froze, eyes wide. The words pierced deeper than any wound. He let go of her wrist. Eleanor stepped back, trembling. She turned toward the locked door. The key was still in his pocket. Freedom was close, yet impossibly far. Eleanor's breath quickened. "Please, let me go," she whispered. Adrian's hand hovered in the air. His shadow stretched across her like chains. She pushed him away, trembling. Adrian staggered back, stunned. For the first time, she chose herself. She reached into his pocket for the key. He didn't stop her. The key turned with a click. The door opened to the night. She stepped into the cold air. Behind her, Adrian sank to his knees. His hands pressed against his face. "Without you, I am nothing," he muttered. Eleanor's steps echoed down the empty street. Each step was heavy yet freeing. The roses inside withered in silence. The song of love ended in broken chords. Yet in the silence, a new dawn awaited. Eleanor stepped off the train, alone. The unfamiliar city stretched before her. The wind carried both exhaust and wildflowers. She dragged her heavy suitcase, heart both light and heavy. Each step felt like leaving the past behind. The tiny rented room became her new home. The stained white wall was like a page waiting to be written. That first night, Elena cried silently. Memories of Adrian surged like hidden waves. She dreamed of his eyes, then woke up in darkness. Day after day, Eleanor began to paint. Each brushstroke was a new breath. She turned pain into colors. Her paintings slowly filled the cramped room. Eleanor realized she could still live without him. Every morning, Eleanor went to the little cafe down the street. A hot cappuccino became her daily ritual. The cafe owner remembered her name, greeting with a warm smile. The city slowly felt less strange, but her heart still held an emptiness. Elena joined an art class. New friends brought laughter, but couldn't erase the longing. Some days she unconsciously painted familiar eyes. Seeing the painting, she tore it apart in shock. No matter what, Adrian lingered in every dream. One night she sat in the rain, letting water wash away her tears. But still, the sun rose the next morning. Elena learned to smile, while her heart still ached. She began accepting invitations to small exhibitions. Viewers were surprised by the colors in her paintings. No one knew that each color was a fragment of lost love. She sold her first small painting. The modest money felt surprisingly warm. Eleanor bought a sturdy second-hand easel. Her name was taped to the doorbell. Her breathing grew longer and fuller. She learned the city's rhythm. At night, she turned off her phone and read. She mailed postcards to herself. Sometimes, she stopped to hear street music. The sound stirred memories, yet she walked on. A group show invitation arrived in her mailbox. She hesitated, then clicked accept. She chose works about wind and emptiness. The series was titled Lines That Let the Wind Pass. At the modest opening, she stood quietly in a corner. A crowd gathered. Her name was spoken aloud. A critic praised the ripeness of her colors. She smiled. Her hands no longer shook. "Where does freedom come from?" someone asked. "From knowing who I am," she answered. That night, the city blinked like a sea of stars. She wrote, "Love is not possession." For the first time in ages, she slept dreamlessly. Weeks passed. Sales covered the rent. She bought a small plant and set it in the sun. It grew. She named it Dawn. An email invited her to a solo show. She reread it 3 times to believe it. This time, she wanted to tell a healing story. The centerpiece, the garden with a half-open door. On opening night, the room glowed like dawn. She breathed in, hearing wind run through the doorframe. The background music was a very familiar piano piece. The background music was a very familiar piano piece. At the threshold, a figure stood still. Their eyes met across the lights. Time folded like a page in a book. Adrian was thinner, quieter, standing very still. Between them hung the painting of wind lines. Elena nodded softly. The door was open. The gallery shone brightly. Elena trembled upon seeing Adrian. Amid the crowd, they existed only for each other. He walked closer, each step slow but steady. Elena's heart raced wildly, ready to burst. "Elena," he whispered, his voice trembling. She turned, a tear quietly falling. The distance was only a breath away. Silence blanketed the space. He wanted to say so much, but words choked in his throat. Elena spoke softly, trembling. "We've gone too far." Adrian replied, "But we never lost each other." Elena's tears flowed like a broken dam. He stepped forward but stopped at the edge. They faced each other, two bare souls. Elena inhaled deeply, summoning all her courage. "Adrian, I wrote you a letter." He looked at her, his heart tightening. Elena placed the letter in his hand. "Inside is my truth and my choice." Adrian held it, as if carrying the entire past. He nodded faintly, tears falling uncontrollably. Elena turned away, her steps as light as the wind. He stood frozen, like stone. The letter trembled in his hand. He opened it. Shaky handwriting appeared. "Adrian, I choose freedom, but I'll never forget you. I hope one day, love will no longer be chains." He closed the letter, looking up at the sky. Time flowed quietly. Years tested them. Elena grew in art, Adrian in memories. But both kept a corner of their hearts for each other. Elena began exhibitions abroad. One day she sent another letter. "Adrian, if love is freedom, meet me again." Adrian received the letter on a rainy morning. His heart ached, yet it lit up. The day came, they reunited by the river. No more chains, only freedom in their eyes. Adrian smiled, the first time in years. The wind blew softly, carrying away old memories. Elena looked up at Adrian, her eyes no longer trembling. He smiled gently, the smile of someone who let go of the past. Both stayed silent, yet their hearts were strangely peaceful. Elena slowly said, "We've grown up." Adrian nodded. "And so has love." The pain that once held them was now just memory. Elena smiled, her lips trembling with emotion. "I was afraid love was a chain." Adrian held her hand. "But love is liberation." In that moment, they felt free within each other. No longer afraid, only hope remained. Elena said, "We can walk together, but without chains." Adrian smiled. That is true love. Their laughter echoed in the wind. They walked on, shoulder to shoulder. They spoke not of the future, but both felt it. They only knew the present was enough. The river flowed, like time gently embracing them. Elena gently rested her head on his shoulder. Adrian closed his eyes, savoring the precious moment. All storms had now faded away. Only light remained in their hearts. Elena whispered, "Thank you for not giving up." Adrian replied, "Thank you for letting go so we could love the right way." The evening sun fell, embracing them both. They knew no distant promises were needed, because the present was already eternal. Elena smiled, the final smile of liberation. Adrian gently squeezed her hand, like a silent promise. They walked slowly along the stone path. Birds sang, as if bidding farewell to the past. Elena closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. Adrian looked at her and saw the whole sky in her eyes. They needed to say nothing more. Love itself spoke for them. The river kept flowing, but their hearts stopped here. The sunset faded, leaving behind gentle purple hues. They left, but there was no sense of loss anymore, because love was now freedom. Some love stories only become complete when we learn to let go. Elena and Adrian journeyed from passion and suffering to liberation. They understood, to love is not to possess, but to set each other free. When love is no longer a chain, it does not just exist in the present, it becomes eternal in the heart. Dreaming of a bright future? Like, subscribe and share your plans in the comments. Let's grow and laugh together. See you next day.